The 2017 Power Rangers movie underperformed at the box office and received mixed reviews, but Hasbro has still announced plans to make a sequel. With Hasbro deciding to continue the franchise instead of starting fresh with a reboot means they thought it had potential, and we do too. What's up everybody, my name is Joshua Yale, and as a lifelong Power Rangers fan, I've invested more time and energy into Billy, Kimberly, Tommy, and the rest than I have my actual friends and family. So, believe me when I say that I have been thinking about all the possibilities of a Power Rangers sequel for quite some time. There's a lot the first movie did right. It made some really smart and bold choices, and it took the story as seriously as I did when I was 10 years old. But it also had some areas it could improve. So here's a list of everything the Power Rangers sequel needs to get right. First, we need more action in the armor. It's admirable the movie took a Batman Begins-inspired approach, methodically building up the team by showing their training and deepening bonds between its members so that when they finally did become Power Rangers, it had a big emotional impact. However, that structure left little time for any big screen Power Rangers martial arts action, which is what the franchise is known for. The fight between the fully armored team and the Putty Patrol lasted all of 2 minutes, and the Rangers were barely challenged as they obliterated one CGI enemy after another. For the sequel, showing the team in multiple action-packed fights featuring practical stunts while wearing the suits is a must. Speaking of suits, the sequel needs to give them a design overhaul so they bear a more striking resemblance to the original Mighty Morphin aesthetic. Mad props to the artist who re-envisioned the Power Ranger suits as organic alien armor, where the chest diamond shows the coursing power of the Morphin grid, but for as cool as it was too far removed from the iconic look that fans know and love. Yes, we want to see the suits spruced up in neat ways that a movie budget allows, but don't forget the white diamonds, space cop style, and pronounced dinosaur motifs. And don't forget all the awesome accessories. We saw the Red Ranger's power sword, but what about the axe, lance, daggers, and bow for the rest of the team? Also, please give them proper power morphers this time around. Pretty please. Next, keep pushing diversity forward. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers television series was diverse from the start, and we admire the new film for continuing to push that aspect of the franchise forward. Not only was the cast ethnically diverse like the original, but the filmmakers included an autistic character and a character who was coming to grips with their queer identity. The Power Rangers might battle cosmic creatures on the regular, but it's the young people underneath the helmets and their everyday struggles that fans relate to. By telling more progressive stories about its characters, Power Rangers can continue to showcase the lesson that anyone can be a hero no matter who they are. It's time to address a big problem with the first movie: tone. It was all over the place. It's no surprise a campy show for kids adapted into a modern sci-fi action movie struggled with tone. But the main culprit was Rita Repulsa. The movie started off on the right foot, making Rita a fallen Green Ranger who killed off Zordon's original team. That opening sequence was so cool! But then Rita went on to become a bad joke with a schlocky performance that didn't fit the more serious world the rest of the characters seemed to live in. We don't want a Power Rangers movie that takes itself too seriously, but we want none of the cringiness that Rita was serving. Now that we've decided to leave Rita on ice for the sequel, that creates the opportunity to introduce Lord Zedd as the next big bad. His first appearance on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers made quite the impression when we saw that all the other villains actually revered and were scared of him. The sequel should have Zedd show up with a group of classic bad guy faces like Babu, Squat, Finster, and Scorpina, make them the Black Order to his Thanos, and then mind humor of how terrified they are to be working for this guy. Not to mention, it'd be great to have imposing baddies for the Rangers to fight instead of the squishy putties. You all knew this next one was going to be on the list. The sequel needs to introduce the Green Ranger. The Green Ranger is as close as you can get to a unanimous fan favorite Power Ranger, and the Green with Evil story arc is the gold standard of Power Ranger stories. That's why it'd make perfect sense for Hasbro to follow up on that post-credit tease and introduce Tommy Oliver as the new kid on the block in the sequel. Rita wielded the power of the green power coin in the first film, but we never saw where it wound up after she was defeated. Perhaps Zedd could recover it, use it to corrupt Tommy, and have him infiltrate the Rangers' ranks. But before we move on, it's worth noting that after the movie was released, the film's cast showed support for Tommy being re-envisioned as a female character for the sequel. After all, we never saw Tommy in that post-credit scene. All we know is that Tommy was a troublemaker who gets into detention, just like the rest of the Rangers. So there's nothing stopping us from getting a female Tommy, which would add a whole new dimension to the role, not to mention it'd make things even with 3 boys and 3 girls. For our last bit of advice to Hasbro, I'm going to throw a curveball. They need to set up Shattered Grid. Now, don't worry if you've never heard of Shattered Grid. It was never a part of the show. It's actually a brand new story currently unfolding in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic series that is incredibly popular within the fandom, and with me. I love it, it's so cool. It takes the Power Rangers to an alternate reality where Tommy never broke free from Rita's control and instead took over the world as an evil green-white hybrid Power Ranger called Lord Dracon. It's arguably the most epic tale in Power Rangers history, and it's definitely one that Hasbro should set up and adapt while it's hot. Oh, and one more thing. Please, no more painfully obvious product placement. It's hard to believe even anyone at Krispy Kreme thought saying Krispy Kreme that many times was a good idea.
It's a Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme.
Thanks for watching. What do you think of our recipe to make a better Power Rangers sequel? And what advice would you give Hasbro? Let us know in the comments. And for more on Power Rangers, check out our interview with the Power Rangers comic writers from Comic-Con. And for a blast from the past, watch us recap Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in 5 minutes. And be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you like to watch IGN.